Hi, I'm Carolyn.
And I'm Anna.
And we're two sisters who love handcrafting and figuring things out.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. It is Saturday, February 11th, and it is our 20th episode.
Woo. I know.
Who doesn't like them?
2 times 2 times 5.
Exactly. 5 by 10, I like it.
Yeah.
We have sort of like a rainy, cloudy day. Kind of chilly, kind of cozy.
Yeah, we had some sprinkles overnight. Oh, nothing major. But the lights, maybe a little bit gloomier today. That's okay. We're still happy.
Anyway, welcome.
Yeah.
We're coming to you from Northern California.
All right, welcome everybody. Good to see you. I'm glad you're here. Today we actually have several fully finished objects to share. We have some whips that we're going to do. Let's see, what else do we have? We're going to talk about some plans we have coming up and some framing exploration we've been doing. I have some shared supplies, although some of them I'm not sharing with her.
Oh, come on.
No, okay. Well, I guess you can take some if you want some. And we're going to end with our thumbs up. Also, just as a preview, our next episode after this is we've been so into everybody's whip parades that we're going to do a whip parade in our next episode. We're going to show all our whips and the things that we have kitted up that we could start at any moment.
Oh, we're doing the kitted up things too?
I think we should.
Okay.
Because I need
to do a little reorganization when I get home.
We could do that.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to be traveling in a bit, so we are going to be filming 2 episodes today, this normal episode, and then later on in the afternoon, we're going to do our whip parade. So you may see us in the exact same clothes again.
And we may actually have to get really creative again. We may have one more. We're going to be away from each other for a while. Who knows what's going to happen?
We're going to figure it out though. Yeah. We're going to keep going. Actually, I think we've both really enjoyed trying to do FlossTube every 2 weeks.
It's feeling great.
And it's a great way for us to just kind of collect every 2 weeks and see where we are and what we're doing. So we're going to try. We'll be creative to keep it going.
Yes.
So let's do a toast.
Okay. This happens to be one of our nephew's birthdays. So let's just toast to birthdays of people we love. And
right.
Our mom had a phrase or a saying growing up on our birthday. She would always say, "I'm so happy you were born." And it's so simple, but we all find it so powerful. So here's to our nephew.
SFM, we're so happy you were born. Let's toast.
Sorry, I almost forgot the clink.
I have a little tea going. She has some coffee. And our nephew, he's a perfect square today. Such a special year for that.
You can tell Carolyn likes prime factorizations.
I know. 5 times 5. Yeah. I'm sure everybody's been really noticing. What are you wearing today?
Yeah. I did not make my shirt. I did not make my pants. I did not make my hat, but I love my hat. I broke down and bought the Vans cross-stitch hat. And I'm really enjoying it. It's my second day wearing it, and it just is.
It looks so cute on you.
It's cute, and it's comfortable, and it fits. There's a bucket style hat too, but my head is really big, and so this one I had to go like the strap is all the way to the limit to fit around my head. So I
so your bucket, if you got the bucket, it would not
be
very top.
It would not fit.
It was so cute. A couple of the commenters said, "Oh, I ordered one too." So if you have a Vans hat, it might be cute. If you're on Instagram, maybe in your story or something.
Yeah. You have to really like it because it's $30, although mine was on sale. Anyway, it was worth it for me.
I still think maybe on the back, you should, I have 2 ideas. Some type of cross-stitch pin. Like I know sometimes people put pins in their hats too. Or I would stitch over one of the cross stitches, just one small one, not the whole thing.
Like just add a little dimension.
Just like right back here or something, or there's a pink one or something. Just to add a little bit.
Okay. Well, I like it maybe more than I should like a thing. I really like it. Carolyn, what are you wearing?
I just want to say one more thing. Anna came in and she told my husband, she goes, this is a brief moment in time where I'm wearing a cross-stitch item and I'm in fashion. I was at Anthropologie a couple weeks ago shopping for one of my daughters-in-law, and they had a full-on pair of pants that had that same idea of the printed cross-stitch, and I came this close to getting them. But
we fully recognize that it's just a little moment in time when the things that we like are the same things as the teenagers like.
But enjoy that moment.
Oh, I'm
Go
definitely
for it.
enjoying it. I might even have to wear this to school one day.
I think you should. Yeah, I think you should. All right, so I'm wearing a sweater. It's called The Botanist, and the designer is Thea Coleman. She goes by Baby Cocktails. And this is, I know, isn't that cute? And she's on her Instagram, she's always talking about what kind of cocktail she's made that weekend. And so this is just a full-on cabled sweater with just so much texture in it. Just very casual. It's almost like a sweatshirt. It's so warm and cozy.
It looks really warm.
Although it's really funny, like my husband rarely says anything about like what I'm wearing, what I look like. And I come out this morning, he goes, "You look really good." I'm like, "What?"
You look really good.
Yes. He goes, "You kind of look like somebody in a catalog." And I'm like, "Okay, thank you."
Great.
This yarn, I love the story behind this yarn, as I do a lot of my yarns. It comes from the store we've talked about before in Oakland called A Verb for Keeping Warm. Do you remember when Joan was visiting? We went up there one time.
I do.
And this yarn, they now call it Horizon. It used to be called Pioneer, but they rebranded it as Horizon. And they are in collaboration with a woman named Sally Fox, who's this incredible, she lives in Northern California. I think she used to be in Southern California. And she's this incredible botanist who is into sustainable manufacturing of textiles for people to use versus mass industry. And she also invented colored cotton. So she grows cotton that is like greens and oranges that are beautiful.
So it's not dyed, it grows like that?
She's done all of the genetic modifications. So she was a botanist and biologist. I'm not sure what, but she has that science background. And there used to be a line of yarn that was her Sally Fox cottons that were really cool. And this yarn came from her sheep. And same thing, she treats her sheep in a way that this yarn is for the hand knitter. So I think she covers them, they're fed organically. I mean, they're really cared for. So it's just a really, really beautiful yarn, and I love the story behind it. So this is called The Botanist, and you'll get a better view. Also, really great cables down the back. And the catwalk will kind of highlight those.
It looks really nice with the chambray too.
Yeah, thank you. Because I think of it more like, I don't think I'd ever wear it to school. Like I feel like it's just more like a outdoorsy, like camping, like outdoor hiking, kind of heavier sweater. But my husband says you look like you're in a catalog.
Take it. I'll take it.
It shows you his taste.
What catalog are you looking at?
He likes the old LL Bean.
Well, it maybe, yeah. I don't know. It has a nice cut.
Yeah, but it's still kind of rustic. Yeah. Anyway.
Yes.
I love it. I love the story behind it. I love wearing it. I love the yarn. I love supporting that store. The end. We have got some fully finished objects. Oh, finished. Oh, yeah, you're finished. Finished and fully finished. Okay.
Right. So this is related to one of my February Whipco pulls. And by the way, I'm definitely feeling on the positive side of neutral about Whipco. I just thought, I'm okay. I'll give it a try. I don't usually dig this kind of thing. I'm really enjoying it. I felt strangely excited at the end of January about what's going to get pulled for February. So far, I'm really enjoying it.
And I have to tell you, did you know you left the red tin in my house with the money in it?
Oh, I thought we'd keep it with shared supplies.
Okay, good. Well, that's where it is. And I added my January money to it. So to me, that's actually a really fun
way to, have a big woo at the end of the year. Anyway, one of my February things was to fully finish an ornament for my son-in-law. So he really likes the 4th of July. He really likes Christmas. So I've been on the search for simple little patterns to put on the Christmas tree that are patriotic Christmas. So
let's insert a picture here for the ornament that you made for him for Christmas 2022.
Okay.
And we'll put that picture right here. Okay.
So this is the pattern that I made for him for 2023. I can't believe it's already stitched for this coming Christmas. It feels good.
You, though, need to put it someplace that you remember
that's true.
Come November.
That's true. You're going to help me.
Okay.
It's called The Freedom Drummer Boy by Bent Creek. And it came as a kit with fabric that really sort of felt like burlap. And it had some like pearl cotton kind of, pretty thick thread. So it was gonna be much bigger. So I just changed it. I had a 32 count linen hanging around. It was Dolly Madison by Needle and Flax. And I went to Michael's and just tried to match the threads with DMC's. And here we go.
And it's so cute.
It's a little revolutionary snow person.
Love it.
I made one little change in that it had a teeny tiny neck that I just got rid of. I just like plopped the head down on top of the body. And then I'm trying to start dating things that I finished. So I've stitched a little 2023, which I'll put on the back somehow.
Oh.
So I can't plunk any money in our tin yet because my goal is to fully finish it. So I need to look for maybe just the right red. Got to look through my scrap fabric. But anyway, really, really fun.
Are you going to finish it as a rectangle? Are you going to put a little curve in it? What do you think?
I think I'm just going to do a rectangle. And I have not put, the drum has these long crisscrossy things.
Oh, yeah.
I was wondering if maybe I should put interfacing on the back first and then do those. Or I don't know if it makes a difference. So I'm super close.
That looks great, Anna.
I think I'll stuff it with wool roving so it's not heavy.
Take the big thing with you when you leave, or take it. We'll fill up a bag for you.
And by the way, I did not bring it for our shared supplies, but I also ordered more walnut shells.
Oh, good.
My husband texted me, did you order 10 pounds of walnut shells?
Yes, I did.
He was confused by that. Anyway, we have plenty of that too.
Okay.
All right, so
good.
The Freedom Drummer Boy. I think this is a really old pattern, but it did the trick for me.
Where did you find it?
I have no idea. I ordered this when I first started cross stitching again.
Does it have a date on it? No. If
2006 series.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That was just Coco. Somebody rang the doorbell and there we go. All right. I have a couple of fully finished objects. The first is, this was also my WIPCO from January. So, and I'll show it first and we'll talk about it. This is my Joy and Good Cheer. And this is designed by Brenda Gervais with Needle and Thread. And I use the Katie Strachan Silk Conversion Kit for this. And it comes, her silk conversion kits are fabulous. It comes with the linen, the silk. This has a few bead embellishments. It comes with the beads, the beading needle, and a silk taffeta for the backing.
Feels really nice.
Really, really happy with this design. Katie also talks about she often makes slight changes to the design. So for example, her version did not incorporate the words and she did a few other changes. So she also in her conversion will describe those and she has a good photo for it. But I went more with the design from the pattern for mine. So
that is just beautiful.
Really happy with it. My January WIPCO was to start and finish a Christmas small. So I finished this within January and then I did the fully finishing the first couple of days of February. So just on a roll, I'm like, I'm done. I'm just gonna keep going and fully finish it.
Now where are you gonna tuck that so that you remember you have it?
Okay, I now have 3 Christmas items. So I think I might get I think you found those archival boxes or something and just kind of wrap them in some tissue paper and just put them, I'm not gonna put them with my regular Christmas decorations out in the garage in the mussy, the big old tins. I think I'll put them someplace safe. But I've had it out. This is almost like a little bit wintry. So,
yes, it is.
So I think that could stay out a little bit longer. For this one, I blocked it. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit, commenter asked, can you talk a little bit more about blocking? So I'll just give a very brief description. I watched Katie Strachan's tutorial and it was part of her Simple Harmony box tutorials and it was number 8 and I'll put a link in the description box below. So I used a lot of her techniques. She did some things special because that piece had to be blocked to a specific size. So I didn't do everything she did in that video, but I did a lot of them. First thing I'm finding that's really helpful for me is once I decide what my margin is for where I'm gonna cut, I actually take a piece of thread and I base that all the way around. So that gives me a really good, and while I'm talking, I'll put a picture in for this. So I have that, and that's gonna be my cutting line, but it also gives me lines to make sure that are straight and angles to make sure that they're right angles. I then have just this mister, I think I got it on Amazon, and it just gives a very light mist. So I hold up that piece and I just really saturate it with water. In Katie's video, she talks a little bit about what do you do if your threads are running. So I think I might be a little bit more careful on the over-dyed cottons that are not color fast, but DMC is color fast and silks are typically color fast. So got totally wet. And then I just put it out on a blocking board and I'm just pinning it, and along the way, and this photo is showing you it pinned out, I'm just using my ruler to make sure my basting lines are all straight and my angles are right angles. And then I just let it dry for 24 hours. As Katie says, make sure it's completely dry.
And what board are you using?
You know
as
what?
Your guide?
As my guide. So I'm just using the blocking boards I use for knitting that you can put pins in. And then I also have one that has ruled lines on it, but I'm not using that as much as I'm using those basting lines.
Okay.
And I know what length I want those to be, and I'm really just trying to get the right angles. Those are the main things I'm looking for.
That's
because I'm
a
not
different way of looking at it.
Yeah, because I'm not shooting for a specific size. I just want it to be square and straight. Mm-hmm. And it really does get out every wrinkle. And I want to try this process on a piece that I have that's more wrinkled and just see if it's a good way. And I just know for knitting, you have to block your finished knit piece. And I think Katie feels the same way about cross-stitch pieces. So I'm gonna keep doing the blocking for a while. So it's so easy once you get it, and once you get over like,
I don't know if it's sufficient, but I have taken, I think it was the little birds that I did last year. Mm-hmm. I just took strands of those reds and stuck them on a paper towel and got them really wet to just see, is anything going to happen?
Yeah.
I think that would give us a clue.
Yeah.
It was cinchy and they were fine.
That's actually a great idea. She recommends too, you could do a little test strip and do it. But at the same thing as she goes, if it runs, what you need to do is put it under running water and let the color come out, because it's excess dye. It's not going to adhere. You just want to get it all out.
Yes, I think that is counterintuitive and it makes perfect sense to just flush it.
So that's the blocking. You know, I don't know if a lot of people do it, but it's something I'm going to just keep doing for a while because it seems to be working and I like my effects so far.
Yeah, this looks really tidy. I think it's part of the appeal for me is how it's sort of tidy that is.
Yeah. We'll talk about framing a little bit later, but I also blocked the piece that I pinned and I felt like that got it really square and made the pinning really easy as well. Okay, so that's my first finish on. That was on a roll, and I showed this in a previous. I said it was fully finished then, but I've changed my mind. This is Mary 1 by Plum Street, and if you remember, it had all kinds of wavy, the seams weren't straight, it wasn't stuffed enough. So once I got more wool roving, I opened it up and stuffed it some more, and then I put on these mini pom-poms, just sewed those on as an afterthought. I know a lot of people put them in the seams. I just sewed them. It matched nicely with my background fabric.
It looks great. I think it's a great addition.
I'm really happy with it. I feel like those pom-poms really pick up the red berries and hide my wiggly seams. I think stuffing it more helped a little bit, but it was still wavy. All right, so Mary 1. So now I have two
awesome
holiday pillows, and I have my flat fold
that we made. Oh yes.
Yeah. So that's that. Okay. And then my next fully finish is, this has been a long time coming. This is the a cardigan that I'm making for my granddaughter, and about a year ago I finished an orange version for granddaughter number 1. This is for granddaughter number 2. This had been completely knit. I'll put a picture of it right here, where it was before. And all I needed to do is called steeking, where when you have color work, many people knit it in the round and then you cut down the middle for that. And so that's all I had to do, was to steek it and do my button bands, and I'm done with it.
Every time you hold up a little sweater, I just imagine the child in it just playing, and it's beautiful.
The funny thing is, for this granddaughter, she barely wants to put a coat on, or
oh, that's true.
She does not like to wear things over her shirts, and she doesn't get cold. So
well, it can wait for her sister if need be.
So I'm not sure this is gonna be a sweater she wears. And this is also knit with tuku wool fingering, and it's a full-on wool. It's not a superwash wool. So she's gonna be like, it's itchy. So we'll see. She may wear it, she may not. Part of, before you cut, you do something called a crochet reinforcement. And so you can see my little facing in there was where it was cut. And I did it just in an accent colored yarn. It also just helped me see it. So that just kind of gets stitched to the back of the button band. I think it looks neat and tidy. If anybody is interested at all in learning more about steeking, I wrote a blog post that has pictures, links to my resources that I use, and then kind of goes through my process. And in the description box, there's a link to that blog post if you're interested in learning more about steeking. All right. This child is a local child, and she's currently sick, so I'm definitely not going to try it on her until she's feeling better.
Wait a little bit for that. I think for a really cold day when she's feeling good.
That's it. I'm going to take it one time when she's going to have to wear a coat to go outside, and she also likes to take her shoes off at the park. And so my rule is like, if you're wearing a coat, you wear shoes. Once you don't have to wear a coat, shoes off it's fine with me. So, Gramsci rules. All right, those are our finished objects. It's good. Feeling good. Every month I've kind of been giving myself a theme, #sabbatical. And this is just finishing. I just want to kind of keep that had been sitting there, and I'm like, okay, I'm finishing that. And the pillows, I'm just gonna try to always have something in the pipeline that I'm working on finishing.
Yeah, I think when you texted me that, I'm like, finishing every day, and you're like, I'm just gonna do like a step every day. Step, 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 step. Which works well. Like sometimes I feel like I'm a person with a lot of patience, but sometimes with that kind of thing, I only want to do it for a short period of time. And then I start feeling like not as fresh. And next day. It's really, really fun to watch you do all this.
And okay, you can tell I'm just such a Katie fangirl. I'm like, if Katie says to do it, I'm going to do it. But one thing she just says is she goes, you've spent so much time stitching on your piece. Like, don't rush your finishing. Like, take the time. And she goes, blocking may feel like an extra step. Just do it. So that's why instead of trying to think, I'm going to finish this thing today, I'm just like, I'm just going to do a step and try not to rush it and just go a bit at a time.
That's very appealing to me.
We'll see. Again, I have so much more time right now that I have that
luxury.
Right,
but taking a step for people who are feeling very busy right now.
That's true.
That's also, there's an appeal there too.
That's true.
Take a step each Saturday for a month or something.
Right about it. Yeah. Or maybe you come home from work and you're like, okay, today I'm just going to block something because it's actually really simple and satisfying.
Actually, I feel like I do that a lot when I'm sewing garments. I'll put in one sleeve one night, put in another sleeve another night.
So we'll see. All right, let's do our works in progress.
Martha Evans. All right, so we each are doing a portion of the Martha Evans sampler, and we took our chart and cut it and pasted it and kind of rearranged things. And I was drawn to the bunny, and I've put the bunny in the cartouche with a couple of bows around it. And here's how mine is looking right now. I wasn't sure I was going to put the cartouche around it. I'm like, I'm just going to do it and see how I like it. And I like it a lot.
I love the cartouche. Oh, it just started raining.
I'll put the little leaf things flying off the cartouche and then finish them.
Is there more on this one that's going to come up here?
A lot more. Yeah. Yeah. So. I'm enjoying it.
I love, can you put that up again? I love how this leaf is breaking the plane of the cartouche.
Yeah, the other one has a few spots.
Oh, and then up here too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that too. Anyway, not much to say, just really enjoying it.
Yeah. And here are the threads for that. And we're using the Avera Soie for this. It's really a beautiful color palette.
Yeah. The only thing where's the darkest blue? There's only a few stitches of the darkest blue in one of these flowers, and to my eye, I'm like, I don't know about that.
Is it this one? Okay, when you see mine, I have a lot of it in there. And we'll have to see. Let me see which where. Oh, I like that, Anna.
Okay. Maybe I need to bring it out.
Isn't that the same dark blue down there?
No.
Oh, that's the green. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I like it.
And maybe it's just because I have little bits and pieces, and because this is not in other places, it's not balancing out or something to my eye.
One thing I found about the Soie de Jet, it might be hard to see, but I feel like this comes in natural sort of big chunks of like, I don't know how many strands. So what I've been doing is I've been taking out a big chunk and making a little chunk, and then that's the one I'm pulling individual threads from. Yeah, for me. A little bling. All right,
yours.
Okay, so mine, I was emphasizing the berry bowl. I think these are pansies with either side. And then I just had to include one of these big, I don't know what it is, flower vases for that. So here I am so far. And so I finished this area. I finished this motif. In hindsight, I would have given a little bit more space between it, like moved it over a few threads.
Maybe, yeah.
But that's like, you're learning as you're doing this. And then I've taken the border and brought it this way. As you see, I've already stitched the red tips on all the flowers. In the original pattern, the secondary center was white for all of them. And I felt like that for my size, that was too much white. So I'm just filling it in with different colors from the berry bowl. Like for example, I put in a couple oranges, there's a light purple. So as I'm putting things in. Now Anna can see this uses a lot of that blue.
Oh yeah, and it looks great with the red, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think I'm gonna put some of that blue winging off of here or something, because especially since I like it with the red so much.
It looks good.
Okay.
All right, so my next piece in the design I hadn't totally fully thought out, so I'm now having to go back to my cutout pieces. So I'm gonna now have a border that goes all the way across the top. That finishes that, and it's going to be this geometric border right here. And then there's going to be some space between that and the motifs here. And so I've just picked out like some of these little animal motifs along the way, or some of the geometric motifs, and I'm going to collage those kind of in that open space. So I kept going back and forth. Should the border start here and come over, or should the border start above this and come over? Do you have an opinion?
Well, I think I'm inclined to smush it down because this is a little smushed.
So, and then I'll have all the other motifs in there. So it's more like, do I want it to cap?
Yeah.
I'm showing her. Do I want it to cap the top of this? Or do I want that to come up? I think I'm going to cap the top of this so it is a clear finish.
I might fill it in with some doodads.
I might start at the middle and go over. So if I want to change it.
Really looking good. And again, I'm going to say this every time. I just like the shape of yours.
Yeah. And everybody, as you probably know, this is in celebration of Brenda's big birthday. And it's been fun watching everybody stitch it along.
Every once in a while I look up the hashtag.
Yeah. And it's not too late if it's something you want. I think they're starting it throughout the year. There's no set start or finish date. Her birthday was in January, but I think Brenda herself hasn't yet started it.
There's a lot of fun things in this sampler.
Yeah. The other thing I want to mention is the linen I'm using is Cedar River Linens Tephra. They're 36 count. I love her linen. I love it. I love the feel of it.
I haven't tried it yet.
And one of her most recent videos, she was talking that as she was coming up with her process, that was one thing she tested along the way. What was the hand of the linen? Like, how did it feel stitching with it? Because she wanted to make sure like for example, she says she air dries everything. So she's even thought about what is the linen going to feel like when you stitch it. And I can feel it. It's kind of heavy. I don't know. I really love stitching on it.
Great.
Martha Evans.
What do we have next? Our Fruits of Plenty. Bringing it back. Hasn't been in the video for a while.
Okay, wait. Things are going to shake probably. But we're going with that.
The camera's sitting on the ironing board and we're putting our stuff on either side of the camera.
Everybody that FlossTubes kind of knows, like, you kind of have this jerry rig your camera and then all your stuff's just like spread out around you. And it started off so organized and then it just falls apart as you go through.
Project bag.
I should say this is bag Anna made, all hand stitched.
Ooh, whenever I see that, I just think pandemic. And all the crafting I did at the dining room table and getting back into cross stitch. So we're each doing Fruit of Plenty in one color. And our goal was to try to sort of match up each of ours so that Carolyn can give us an assignment to work on.
Yeah, we've been giving assignments every 2 weeks, every FlossTube, and then we paused, I think like right after Thanksgiving.
So and then months, and
now we're back at it now that we're back to it. You want to start by showing yours?
Sure. I'm really enjoying my coffee. So I had to work on the octagons, and I'm not quite matching yours yet, but I've got myself going again and starting the framework again. With where I have my thread, I'm trying to go around that octagon with just half of the cross, which I've never tried.
Oh.
Just to see how I like that. So that's where I am.
Okay, so you have this octagon finished, and that's on it.
That's not even finished,
but you have the inner border of that one.
And we were thinking of filling in one of the stripes. These two octagons have a lot of concentric octagons. Would that be the right? Can you say concentric with octagons? Anyway, we were thinking of filling in between two of them, but I stopped because that is a pretty wide band, and I want you to fill in a different place in your octagon.
Oh, okay.
To just see if we like that idea.
Yep.
Let's see yours.
Okay, so here's mine. And I was starting. Anna, can you point to the tree in the center?
Oh,
okay,
yeah, you did.
So I've done half the stars. Anna's finished her stars, and I've actually, can you hold that corner?
Sure.
Thank you. And I was coming around here to catch up. I think it was over here. It was either this side or that side. It was this side.
Get some vines in.
And to get the vines in and come down to match yours. And then I didn't really care for doing this. That's why I haven't done the other side yet.
Are you doing it like I did? Do you have big stitches on the back?
I did. I carried it. There's no way I was going to start an end. Sorry.
And I didn't quite get down to the squirrel. Anyway, I think we're pretty close.
We're pretty close.
I'm going to confess that I have a secret hope of what you're going to pick for us next.
Oh, you do? Okay. I'm pulling this out, so see. Okay. So now that we have our infrastructure in, we are going to work on the hexagon that's under the flower. That's why, and that is the one that you've done the most outlining on. So we're going to work on this hexagon, the inside of this one. And I don't assume that we're going to finish it, but I want us to get started. Okay, was that what you hoped?
That's what I was hoping.
Oh, seriously?
Yes, I'm like, I want to fill in one of those octagons.
Yeah, I felt like the octagon needed something, and I like the symmetry of this. I think once we get going on it, it's going to go really smoothly.
All right, I think I'm going to work on this in the next week before any traveling starts, and to really, I've been stitching on this the last couple of nights, and I feel like I'm moving on it. So, yay.
I tried something new when I was doing this center part because I knew I needed to do some probably point and stab versus the stitching. So I pulled out, I have a slightly bigger cross stitch hoop, and I put it in a needlepoint frame that I have. So you kind of put the hoop in, it's like a little clamp, and it just holds the hoop down.
I've always liked your frame.
And it worked really well. So I think for this piece, for the areas where I don't want to do the sewing method, where I want to do more of the point and stab, I am going to do that because then you can use the two hands to do it.
Great.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to finish this.
We are going to finish this.
I'm predicting 2024, but
I do too.
And I just love it. I still have no idea what I'm going to do with mine, but I don't need to decide that yet.
Great. And my Fruits of Plenty is in the Stacy bag. And if you want to hear the story behind this bag, if you haven't heard it, go back to our last episode, episode 19, and we talk through that. So I'm always going to have a special project in this one. And especially since this project's going to take till like 2024, this bag is going to get used a lot.
Okay. All right. Thanks for the assignment. I'm excited about that. All right. Carolyn has a few more.
All right. Let me put
works in
these
progress.
on my board. I should have been doing that while you were talking.
That's all right.
All right. My next work in progress is Winter Comes, and we've seen this the last few episodes. And I'll put a progress picture right here of where I was last time. And here's where I am now. I've kept going with this border, ready to turn the corner. I've added my reindeer or whatever, and more snow, and I think finished some of the smoke. And I just continue. This has not gotten old for me at all. Comes in two versions. I'm doing the pictorial version, and there's another version that has some sort of saying or something on it.
We're going to say this every time, probably. The border is so interesting. The threads on that ground, amazing.
Yeah.
And your white stitching looks so neat.
Thank you. When I'm doing some of the white, this, I was not using a frame.
So you are in a really good rhythm of some sort. It's really looking,
Yeah.
I know it's not all about how neat
Yeah.
your stitches are, but it's
Yeah.
making them pop even more because they're so
The
even.
white looks so good on this. And any of these little snowflakes or detailed like the pine cone, I am putting it in a hoop and doing the point and stab for that. And I think that makes a difference. And again, here are the threads. I love as you work through a project and your threads are like a palette and you start to use them, and so they start to feel like certain colors or less. I don't know, it's just like, oh, it's like my playing cards. Just love my threads. I'm gonna leave in about a week and a half to go traveling, and I'm trying to decide if I'm not done with this by then, do I take it? Do I pack it away for next year?
You can make a game day decision.
I'm gonna make a game day decision because I think this is definitely one I want to stitch on when it's gloomier outside and colder. But at the same,
what do you have left? You might be done.
But at the same time, I do want to keep going on it because it's so much fun. One commenter said that she just really liked that little jaunty squirrel right there. And I think of him as like hopping from the roof, looking for his nut cache. Okay, sorry, I'm just MCSing over here. just
Mild conceit session.
Just enjoying
another
that
childhood phrase.
Just enjoying that one so much. All right, winter comes.
I know. Please tell me, all of us, after we stitch for a while, we hold up our work and look and like, oh yeah, it's looking good.
Yeah.
It's part of the whole thing, right?
And this is a kit I got from Acorns and Threads when we were visiting. The thread is the Called for Weeks Overdyed Cottons, and this is Vintage Wood Smoke by Lakeside Linens. So that's the linen.
So good.
Okay.
I think you're gonna be sad when that's done.
I am gonna be sad. I am gonna be sad. My next work in progress is my Whipco. It was one of my February calls, and it was for number 7, and it was to finish Seasons of a Hard Winter. And I'll put a picture here where it was last fall when I put it away. I think we got these kits in August, and I did a bunch of stitching in like maybe September or October on it, and then I put it away. And here it is. This is where I am now.
Wait, is the door that color? Is my door that color?
Somebody may have just not really looked at the instructions. This is a Katie Strachan silk conversion for this, and here are the colors. I was just following the symbols on the chart. I heard you just show the chart. Seasons of the Hard Winter. I was just following the symbols on the chart, and if I followed the symbols, it would have been this lighter orange. But then when I looked at Katie's picture, she had used this more vibrant red. But I like it. I don't plan to take it out unless when I'm done, I go, oh, that really needs to be the dark red. But right now I'm not feeling that way.
I had a moment where I was like, wait, is my door that color?
And if you see in the picture, it is the little bit more of the orangey. I don't think it really matters. But I was just stitching away, and then it was when I went back. Yeah.
My daughter just bought this for her mother-in-law for her birthday.
Oh, she did.
She kitted it up.
And did she do winter or which?
She's starting with winter. Yeah.
She's starting with winter.
Wait. Yes.
Mm-hmm. It's a good one. So I've done summer, I've done spring, doing winter, and then I have the materials to do fall. So I'm gonna have done them all. A couple things, Lauren of the New Hampshire Stitcher pointed this out. I think Anna, you pointed this out, but I wanna say it as well because it's so important. If you want to do this continuation, there's a little bit of an error in the winter one. The spring and summer worked no problem. If you just continued this, it ended up where it was expected to end up. This one is 1 stitch off.
Yeah, and so it's really no big deal in a way, but it's kind of nice to know.
I think right, and I think the way to handle it is if you turn this corner and keep going this way, it's not going to be an issue for you. You're going to end up with 2 extra, instead of a 1 thread spacing between the next one, you'll end up with a 2 stitch spacing. But I think to get everything lined up, I would highly recommend going this direction, doing that border first.
And I think, because I noticed it, I think I added an extra stitch here or something. And
right,
then went across.
That's what would have to do. Okay, so that's not a huge deal, but I think it is good to know if you want to do that ahead of time. All right, so this is on track, I think, to finish. for February.
Yeah.
And then Anna and I will wait. I might go ahead and make the pillow depending on where I am.
I don't want to stop you from.
But I'm going to hold off because the kit came with instructions and beads to do a beading edging around it.
Wait.
So if I make the pillow, I'm going to pause there and we'll do the beading edging together.
This is one of my Whipco pulls. But
okay.
Maybe I'll get to it before. Well, let's just see what your pace is.
Right for that. The other thing is Katie, the Sparkle Prim person, she had sparkle in all of this, the smoke and the snowflakes, and what it was is a mixture of accentuate with Swassafine, which is a thinner. I tried that, and after swearing 3 times, I decided not to do it.
Oh, I loved it.
I could not, maybe my thread was too long. I could not get it. It kept snagging.
Okay.
It would not behave for me. It was not pleasurable at all. She's recently talked about this other fiber made by the same company, Bijou, which has a little bit of sparkle in it.
Yeah,
so
try that.
I probably just wasn't in the right mood, and my thread was probably too long, but seriously, I was just like,
I did use
the
shorter
beep
thread.
with this.
And I remember wanting to do it in the daylight, not at night. But when you said Sparkle Prim, I was getting a giggle because when I was doing this, I was like, could I sneak in a little Sparkle Prim somewhere? And then I'm like, I'm not sure my son-in-law will appreciate it. I'll wait for I'll do Sparkle Prim, my own stuff.
One last little thing. I made an error up here. I only have 2 rows of the blue for the house before I started the windows instead of 3. And I had forgotten about that. I was going to add another row in the house down here. And since I forgot, my snow is just going to be 1. I'm going to make my snow 3.
Yeah, okay, good. That's a good solution.
So, not a big deal. Okay. Seasons of the Heart, winter. I continue to enjoy these.
Yeah,
Seasons of the Heart.
It's a fantastic pattern.
Okay.
Oh, more knitting coming.
Yeah, you can tell I have had a lot of fun crafting time. All right, and that was in my orange bag.
That's a good one.
All right, and then my next work in progress has been my Lunenburg pullover. I've been showing that recently, and I'll put a picture of where I was last time. Man, I've just been going to town on this one.
Oh yeah, you got some inches.
All right.
Oh, in your sleeve.
So what I like to do is I like to knit the body for a while, and then I take it off the needles and it's just on a piece of waste yarn waiting for me. I do that because I also, before I go further, I always try it on to make sure I like the fit, and it fits great. I love it. And then I've done one sleeve.
Hold up the end of that sleeve. That is so pretty.
Well, I'm going to talk about that in a second.
Okay.
And then I'm working my way down the other sleeve. Once I finish the sleeves, I like doing the sleeves then, because then when I'm fine tuning how long I want to make the sweater, I have my sleeves on and I feel like it gives you a more accurate fit along the way. I might be a little short on yarn, so also once I finish my sleeve, I have to see if I have to order another skein. For the sleeve, I decided I didn't want a ribbing at the end. I wanted it, and at first I thought I was going to do a hem cuff. So what you do is you put this, let me see if I can show it, a little purl bump there, and it just becomes a natural fold line, and then this folds in. And I don't fold it and tack it in until I blocked it because I have to flatten it out. And then it adds this little pop of color inside. But as I had it here waiting to block, I'm like, kind of like that little detail of the roll.
Do not tuck
color. So I'm going to end like that. And then I'll have to decide when I get to the bottom of the body, do I do something similar, or is that too much for the body? So I'll have to decide along the way.
I vote yes, but yes.
But it was funny. I was like, oh, I kind of like that the way it is.
Well, happy surprise.
So really happy with that.
I think we're all still like about that yoke. I mean,
I know.
Every time you show it.
And I actually put it on with this shirt, and it's a good shirt to wear under it.
Good. That's good.
My husband will say, you look like you're in a catalog. All right. Lots of knitting for me.
All right, so looking forward, we've mentioned that we are both going to be doing some traveling, and you're going to be gone for a long time. I'm going to be gone for a short time, but I do find it's a little bit hard to cross stitch while I'm traveling. But I knit a cowl for my daughter a couple of years ago, and she lost it. and she loved it. So I said, well, do you want me to just knit you another one? She said, yeah.
Let's put a picture of the cowl right here. Do you remember,
I don't know if we have it. It's the Pearl Soho gradient cowl.
Yeah, I can get it off of like Ravelry.
Okay.
The image of it.
And my daughter likes very muted natural tones, so I'll just pull a few of the yarns. The cowl is knit holding 2 strands together, sometimes two of the same color, sometimes one of 2 colors. That's why it's called gradient. It kind of goes from one color to another. So I think this is going to be my primary project while I'm traveling.
It's a great idea.
I kind of forget how to knit, but I think it'll.
When do we get you going before you leave?
That would be a good idea. I don't know if I'm going to have time, but that would be a good idea, or I might be calling you.
Because knitting is great on the plane. It's so easy as you're visiting to pick it up and put it down.
And then I'll probably bring one little cross stitch something with my cross stitch lamp, but I am guessing I'm going to do more knitting and maybe some shopping as I go to different cities.
Yeah.
All right, what about you, Carolyn?
So I'm still thinking about my plan. So I'm going to be gone for about 4.5 weeks. 3 of the weeks we'll be visiting my son's family in New York, and I'm going to try to take a day trip up to Hobby House. I think that could be really fun.
Please take pictures or take a video for us.
And then my husband's going to head home, and then I'm going to tend to spend about 3 or 4 days poking around southeastern Pennsylvania, sort of exploring some of the things from my mom's matrilineal line. We talked about that in the last episode. So just, I don't know, doing some exploration, and I don't know what I'm going to do, but kind of getting that whole vibe, Pennsylvania Dutch, fractor stuff. And then my sister-in-law is a big crafter, and we're going to have a crafting few days. They have she and her husband own a house on like the Chesapeake Bay. So we're going to go there for, I think, 3 nights, 2 full days, and then the travel days, and just craft. So really, really excited we did that maybe about 5 years ago in a different location. We just had a great time because both of us literally could just sit all day and craft, and we had so much fun. So we're going to do that again. So I'm just kind of still deciding what to take with me, because I'll definitely have my knitting, but I want to take some cross stitch too. I don't know. So that's going to be like a big decision as I'm packing.
And your Jane Hardy is done.
But you know what I realized? I was thinking about that because my Jane Hardy was on 28 count. My Satsuma Street Joy with all the Christmas ornaments is on 28 count. So I think I will take that, because that's really easy to stitch. That. But then especially for the times when I'm stitching with my sister-in-law or when I'm sort of traveling around independently, I'll have more time and light, so I might take some other things. Who knows? We'll see. But that's something to think about. Okay. So we're curious about framing. So we've been doing a lot of framing exploration. My WIPCO and my other February WIPCO was about framing, and we'll talk in a minute. I actually had to change my goals once I learned more about things.
Such good timing though, because you've been able to explore.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold up a little painting that's done by our dear friend Sandy Ostrow, and it's in a floater frame. So she painted on a piece of wood, and that wood is glued to this base, and the inside of this, in between her canvas and the frame, it's painted black. And I've just always liked this style of framing. So after Carolyn and I filmed our last episode, we went to a local framer that I had checked in with, I don't know, months ago. And they have someone who pins needlework. They're very comfortable with needlework. And so we went to go price a photo frame. And I mean, I'm just gonna go ahead and say the amount, because we had no idea how much framing would cost. And we'd heard people talk about, it's expensive. And so the floater frame that I like, and a floater frame does involve some extra pieces because of this buildup.
Yeah, it's called the cradle, now that I know.
Yeah, was going to be over $300 and maybe even over $400 for the frame that I liked even better. And so Carolyn and I ended up just pressing pause on that because it just seemed like a lot, and we wanted to. I appreciate the expertise and I know, like, I'm happy to pay. If someone's going to pin for me, I'm happy to pay for that and all that. But it was just so much that we were like, thank you so much. We've learned so much. I took home the quote. That framer is actually having a sale in March. So I might go back for something else. But of course we came home like, could we do this ourselves? So tell us what you've learned.
Yeah, so my original Whipco was to have 2 pieces professionally framed and frame one myself. And at this point, that framing, and it could also be our area is more expensive, but that framing, I'll be right back. Anna's husband's coming with some lunch for us, so we're going to pause. We're back.
I'm going to wipe the goop off we just had incredible deli sandwiches.
Anna's husband just stopped by. He had gone someplace and came back with really good sandwiches for us. So we don't exactly know what we were talking about before, so we're going to kind of guess, but we're talking about the framing and the Whipco goal.
Yes.
So I had to change my goal. My goal, I'm not going to get anything professionally framed right now. In fact, probably just for my personal budget, I'll probably maybe frame 1 special thing a year. That might be something appropriate. So at that point, I'm like, okay, you're going to learn how to frame. You're going to learn how to do it. I've watched some really wonderful tutorials about pinning and lacing. A couple I want to call out is Chris at the Camping Stitcher recently did a really good one, and she was summarizing things that she learned from Teresa Vanette's Kitten Stitcher. She's also done a really good one. I watched Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch. She did one, and then I also watched Nicola Parkman, who first pins as an intermediate step, and then laces and removes the pins. So I recommend, if you haven't done this before, I like watching a variety of people and then sort of picking and learning a little bit from each one and trying them. So this was my first step for any framing is to do the pinning. So I'm working on Autumn Bird. And what I've done so far is I blocked it. And you can see faintly that brown line that's running along the edge of the foam core. That I stitched in with the margin of where I wanted the piece to end. And then I used that, and I'll remove those threads when I'm done, but that gave me guidelines along the way of where I wanted it to match the foam core.
And how thick is your foam core?
I got the 3/16 acid-free. And I went to Michael's and I bought the big sheet of foam core and then they cut. And I'm so glad I hadn't ordered my frame yet because I had given them the wrong measurements to cut the foam core.
Oops.
So at that point, I'm like, okay, girl, you just have to cut the foam core yourself. So I actually got myself a nice X-Acto knife and I have been cutting the foam core now.
Oh, nice.
The other thing I did, since I wanted these the margin and I knew when I stretched, I made my foam core slightly bigger than the piece, the line.
Like how slightly?
Okay, so first I added 1/8 of an inch to each side. And that ended up being a little too much. So I'm stretched a little too much. So I think in the future, I'm going to add just like 1/16 of an inch to each side. So just a little bit.
Okay.
And I also wonder, because I blocked it, if I'd already
yes, maybe.
just stretched it just a touch for that. So the pinning, and I haven't put my pins all the way in yet because I'm letting it sit, and I'm going to just redo it or just tweak it one more time. And then I've left this open. We'll talk about this in a second, but I think I might want to glue some things to my foam core, some magnets or metal, and then I am going to lace this closed for a clean closure when I'm done for that. So I'm kind of in the process.
It really is. It looks very straight and taut.
Mm-hmm. And I was
really
even watching like the grain lines of my linen, so I had to tweak this one's curve down here a little bit. Okay. So next stage is we're going to try the floater frame, and I'm going to put a picture right here as I talk of the picture of the dimensions of where it is. And you can see there's this thing called the cradle, and your piece sits on top of the cradle, and then the cradle gets screwed into the frame itself. And the place where I'm ordering it from, they have so many different options, but they will pre-drill the holes that will allow me to screw in the cradle to the frame. So that's going to be ready to go. And you can pick all kinds of different widths of the frame, depths of the frame, and then you tell them how much space you want between your piece and the frame. So Anna, like Sandy's picture, I think probably has
1/4 inch, I think.
Yeah, at least, if it's not 3/16. And I'm just gonna, and then she had the inside painted black. I think I'm not gonna do that. And I think I'm just gonna leave 1/8 of an inch for my in between there. So the last piece in the puzzle for me that I want to experiment with is I'm still not quite ready to glue this onto the cradle. It's like you're putting a panel painting or a photo. They just say glue it onto the cradle. I'm not quite ready to do that yet. So what I think I'm going to try is put a little bit of metal tape on the foam core and some magnetic tape on the cradle, and see if then using the magnet, the metal will stick to the magnet. So that's why I haven't closed that out. I want to put the metal tape in here and then kind of cover that, or the linen will go over the top of that. So I'll keep you posted. So I'm going to order the frame today, but I think it takes like 2 weeks, so I probably won't get the frame until I'm back from my trip to finish framing. But it's going to feel
something to look forward to.
It's going to feel really good to get the frame. So curious.
I'm
about
feeling
framing.
I'm really feeling hopeful that we've got this.
And then if that magnet doesn't work, I'm just like, as you were saying,
I'm this close.
I'll just glue it. I'll glue it in. I know a lot of older, and especially like this is not like an heirloom piece, but I don't know. I would like to think of something that's not glue to attach it. Okay. So framing, we'll keep you posted. Although I want to say, everybody, if you haven't tried this, I encourage you to do it because it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
And you know, it was really Chris at the Camping Stitcher that made me know I could do it, because she said the same. She goes, "Oh, I just do this all the time. It just takes a little time. You can all do it." So
She pep talked you?
She pep talked me. Yeah. So I'm going to give a thank out there to Chris for your pep talk. Great. So framing.
All right, shared supplies.
Shared supplies. Do you have any shared supplies?
The only thing I bought was the walnut shells, and I did not bring them over.
Okay. All right. I have a few. I'll go pretty quickly through this. There's a really beautiful knitting store that's in Pacific Grove, which is about an hour and a half for me. And I had to be down in that area recently doing something else. I had sort of 4 hours to a free time. And so I just went down to Pacific Grove, did a nice hike, and went to this knitting store. And I'll show you the 2 main things I bought. I know the first thing is my yarn for my Gigi number 4, granddaughter number 4, her blanket. I've knit blankets for the other 3, and I'm going to do a combination of this really deep. It's not quite yellow. It's not quite gold.
It's
really
pretty.
deep.
It almost glows. Oh my goodness.
This is La Bien Amie. It's a pretty well-known yarn dyeing company, and the owner, this is her yellow. It's called the Yellow Brick Road, and this is her signature color. And then I'm mixing it with this variegated, it's called Grello. It's just grays with golds and yellows. And I'm gonna do a stitch. I'm actually use the same stitch pattern that I used for her sister's blanket, but it will. No, that was for. I'll show you later. You'll see once I get going on this. So this is something I'm going to definitely work on my trip. Get that blanket going. All right, the next thing I bought.
That's right. That was for GG3.
Total impulse, and we know this from cross stitch. You see a model, you want to make it, right? Mm-hmm. So they had a model up of this. It's like a cowl that you put on, but it goes over your shoulders too. And I put it on, I'm like, I'm going to get it. So here it is. The version that she had wasn't quite over your shoulders, wasn't quite poncho-y, more like this, like that. But can you see that it's gray, but it has all these little colors in here? So I'm like, oh, do you have kits for that? And they're like, yes, we do. So here's the yarn, just a beautiful gray from Blue Sky Fibers. That's the main body. But then, Anna, wait till you see this. They sell these bundles of all these colors in the same.
Clever.
So the company must sell, it's just called a wool stock bundle. So once I saw that, how can you not buy that?
Yeah.
Because I also thought I'm going to take this on my trip too. And I thought it'd be fun once I use whatever color I need for the snood, whatever it's called. I thought it might be fun with, that's what they call this.
Oh, okay.
Snood. For my oldest granddaughter there who has opinions, it might be fun to knit her a hat with these colors and be like, okay, what color do you want next? What color do you want next? And let her sort of pick the colors and make her a stripe hat in there. Mm-hmm. So total impulse, saw the model and bought it.
I really like that a lot.
So very happy with those yarn choices. All right, a couple other things as I continue on with really enjoying the history of different things books. This is one that several people have shown. And I've gotten this. I haven't yet looked through it in too much detail. I just got it a few days ago. And I'm really feeling the need to make myself a needle roll, a sewing roll. So I just can't wait to look through here and get some inspiration for that. And then I can't remember how I stumbled upon this one. Helen Wild Embroidered Stories, Scottish Samplers. And this is a beautiful book. It has a nice introduction, but then each sampler
already
talks about the sampler and then the story, if they know the story of the stitcher behind it or a story of the motif. So it's I leave it on my coffee table and every night I kind of read one, or I sit down and I'll just read one, and just really appreciating how beautiful, and they'll show the full sampler and then often have a beautiful detailed picture. So this, just as I'm learning more about samplers, this has been a really great book as well.
Fantastic. Oh, the photos of this one are incredible.
I know,
Wow.
I know, really
So
great.
crisp.
And then the next year's supplies, I actually just want to give, I'm on a linen hunt. I talked about doing Jane Atkinson with my matrilineal line in the center. If you want to hear more about that, it was in the last episode. And I thought I had ordered the Lakeside Linens lentil 36 count, and I ordered it. And then just like last week, I got a message from them that said, great, your order's in. It will be here in like over six months. So it wasn't really in stock. I thought when I ordered it, because they sold it, was in stock, but I think they're ordering it.
Depends on the website.
So that was disappointing. And I really
Did you
love.
cancel it or keep it? Just
I haven't yet canceled it
Yeah.
because I want to keep it just in case. So I'm just call out, if you know a place that sells Lakeside, I've actually communicated with a couple stores just to see if they had it. Or if you've had experience with Lakeside Linens lentil and you know what that color is and have a recommendation of a linen that you felt was a similar color, I'd love to hear that. So I'm just sort of on a hunt. Carol Saltbox Stitcher is stitching it on lentil. And so I'm actually going to also just reach out to her and just say, with all of her experience with linen, does she have a color?
That's a good idea.
Recommend. So if you know anything about lentil, where somebody sells it or anything, I'd love some suggestions. I'm on a hunt for that. Otherwise, I'm just going to get the threads and pick a linen. But I just love her combination so much.
If I go to a store back east, I'll look too.
So yes, if you wouldn't mind, anytime we go to a store, just keep an eye open for that.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Notice how I have both of the books directly in front of me now.
Yeah, feel free if you want to borrow any of them. But I'm so enjoying having these books and the history books and looking through them.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, it's time for thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Okay. First thumbs up. I went to the ATM machine yesterday, and for the first time, I was given an option of what kind of bills I wanted.
Oh, what was your choice?
1s, 5s, 10s, 20s, 50s, 100s. And the screen popped up, and I could just do plus, 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 or minus, minus, minus. I could just do whatever I want. And then at some point, was also an option of like, we'll fill in the rest for you with whatever. I've seen like, do you want 20s or 50s or something before? But sometimes, especially to have smaller bills for tips, I go into the bank, and to be able to do that at the ATM, I was strangely excited by that. I was like, I can't believe it. I can get whatever I want.
Yeah.
So,
And that's good.
have you seen it before?
No, I haven't seen that before, because the time when I really want to have cash is when I want to leave a tip for people. Like, especially like if you're in a hotel and you want to leave that tip on the pillow and you don't have, I always feel so bad if I don't have cash.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Anna, good.
So that was exciting. Number 2, I enjoy a local coffee shop so much. And I've always known this, but I'm knowing it even more because the coffee shop that my family walks to was damaged in a fire a week ago. And it's just so sad to walk by or drive by those boarded up windows and thinking about that business and the people who work there, and then poor little me, I can't go walk get coffee anymore. It is a joy for me to go for a walk and get a coffee. The whole experience, not just the coffee, it's the walk and the being outside.
And that was a really friendly, their coffee was really good. I like the sitting area outside that they have too. And it was the perfect walk from your house. Perfect.
Right. So thumbs up for local coffee shops. And my third is an electric blanket. So my husband and I don't really have heat in our room. Our room's sort of in this end part of the house, and there's a really old wall heater that we only use very sparingly. And so that feeling of like the really cold air, and there's something about the warmth of an electric blanket that is kind of subtle. Maybe it's just the temperature that I pick. That's been making me feel just extra cozy at night and first thing in the morning.
It must be hard to get out of bed though.
It is a little hard to get out of bed. I think I'm so used to it, I don't really think much about it. And of course, where we live, it doesn't get super, super cold, but it's probably in the
50s probably.
in our bedroom.
Okay. Yeah. Nice. Good. All right, my thumbs up. First thing is we went to the movies. I think it might have been the first time since the pandemic that we went to the movies. Maybe the second. But we saw a great movie. It's called Missing. So if you're feeling ready to go to the movie theaters, I highly recommend going to see Missing. I'm not going to say anything more because I don't want to spoil anything. Anna came with us. What, do you agree?
Oh, it was fun. The popcorn was fun too.
Who doesn't like movie theater popcorn? That's why I like to go to the movies particularly. Okay, number 2 is I went ahead, I did it. I bought myself some Kahana scissors. And if you love a good tool, so worth it. They're so lightweight. Just hold them and open.
Oh, so much lighter than I thought they were going to be.
I know. It must be the material they used for the handles.
Really pretty.
And they are so sharp, and I'm hoping they stay sharp. The one thing that the point is a little bit dull at the top, which has some positives, but I am also going to keep my other scissors with a sharper point because when I want to cut out a stitch, I find that is so very, very happy with these. And oh, this is going to be a lifetime tool for that. And then my third thumbs up is my crafting planner. And I bought this on an impulse. We were in Portland. And I tried the Book of Days. It wasn't quite enough. I was just sort of struggling with how I wanted to keep records. Book of Days didn't have like enough space for me. And this has worked so great. In my front pocket here, I have my index cards for my current projects I'm working on for that. I love the month page. I'm just marking starts and finishes and the summaries of starts and finishes. And then it has a layout where it's by the week. So on this side, I'm just writing what I'm working on each day. And then I just have something to summarize my week. I like to start with, let's go look at, like, here's an example. I do something called the Big 3. It's just sort of 3 things I'm thinking about that week or I want to emphasize. I'm putting all the information about starts or finishes or active whips or highlights. Like, for example, the highlight of this week was lots of relaxing stitching time while watching football and participating in WIPCO. So just little things to remember that. And then there are extra pages in the back where I'm listing like new starts or finishes for that. And then finally, my back pocket, I'm keeping my WIPCO board. So I'm
really
loving this. Well. I'm filling it in. I'm doing it every morning for the previous day. And then every Sunday I sit down and reflect and finish up the week and do my Big 3 starting the next week. It's a calendar that starts on Monday. And I love it. And it's fun to look back on. And I feel like I'm keeping a good record of the things I'm doing. So, thumbs up planner.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. We don't know how long this is because it ended up being 3 different videos. So whatever.
All right. So until next time, which I guess will be our whip parade, which we're going to film in a few hours. I'm still going to be wearing my cross stitch cap.
We'll be wearing probably the same exact things. So happy crafting.
Stay curious.
Bye.